It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show.
Yeah, lot of controversy that do not disturb me. Got dreams of a million, cannot defer me. Got a ring on my finger, I retire my jersey. Fuck, nigga, y'all suck like the plot of Kirby. I'm him. All black on the scene, doing me high. No, I got the game covered like knee highs. I be killing on my foes like FIFA. Flows on kit like FIFA. Fila, E-I-O. Green on me like G.I. Joe. Hold my chest like a peacock glow. Southside nigga with an eastside hoe. Hitting at the chicken number 3 combo. Type of nigga lead EB John Doe. 3D Camp Creek on the creek zone 4. With a nigga play street. Living cheeks on the floor. Can't speak no more. First verse in surgery, it's only me versus me. Nobody else hurting me. I burn niggas to the 3rd degree. Like Jazz O, niggas certainly. The best nigga that rap, I don't mean just virtually. These are the 4 just worker bees. I flex up like Hercules. I hit a nigga in the shit so hard that it hurt to sneeze. It's Nolan.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well out there this evening. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about Megan Thee Stallion. And of course, she has this ongoing case where she's suing Milagro, aka Milagro Grrrls, of course, for defamation and all of these different things, harassment and stuff like that, spreading of deep fake and all of those things. And the latest update is that Tory Lanez was recently deposed. Remember that they had filed for a deposition to speak on the nature of him and Milagro's relationship, all of that type of stuff. I believe Milagro will also be deposed as well, if I'm not mistaken, if it hasn't already happened. Nonetheless, they did have the deposition. It has taken place. However, it went completely left. He was completely uncooperative and actually quite disrespectful in the deposition room towards Megan Thee Stallion's lawyers. Okay. So now Megan Thee Stallion and her team have written to the judge and they're asking for him to show cause as to why he should not be held in contempt of court. Now, when it comes to contempt, that can result in having to pay fines, or it could also end up in jail time. He's already a prisoner, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's gonna possibly lead to an extension on his time. I don't know. I can't say anything in that direction, but in the coming days or weeks, I'm sure we'll find out the result of that as well. But let's just go ahead and get to this whole deposition situation, talk about how it transpired. I'm not going to read the full transcript of the deposition. That's like 50 pages. I don't got time for that, but I will get to the high level stuff that was included in the initial paperwork, okay? So here is the filing from Megan Thee Stallion and her legal team. All right, so this is Plaintiff Megan Pete's unopposed motion for order to show cause why Daystar Peterson should not be held in contempt for violating this court's order. Plaintiff Megan Pete, by and through undersigned counsel, files this motion for order to show cause why Daystar Peterson should not be held in contempt for violating this court's order permitting his deposition. In support thereof, Ms. Pete states as follows. Mr. Peterson's conduct during the deposition was so disruptive, inflammatory, and inconsistent with the basic norms of civil litigation that even his own counsel, who also represents the defendant Milagro Cooper, disavowed it. As a result of Mr. Peterson's misconduct, the deposition had to be terminated shortly after it began. Okay? So in the liner notes here, they make reference to an email correspondence that we'll get to shortly, okay? They say, although his conduct was shocking, it was not a complete surprise. From behind prison bars, Mr. Peterson telegraphed his intent to defy the court's deposition process, boasting in a press release issued by Unite the People that he would refuse to testify. See Unite the People, Inc. press release, which was dated April 7, 2025, attached as Exhibit B. Just before the deposition, Unite the People's CEO, Caesar McDowell, mocked the process in his social media account, writing, "Good luck trying to get Mr. Peterson to testify to anything. It's just not what he does." Now, I think that's pretty strange. I'm not a legal professional by far, but I don't think it would be in anyone's best interest for your legal team to come out and imply that you're going to defy the courts, especially not a person that's already locked up and seeking an appeal or a redress or a shorter sentence or anything of the like. Doesn't seem all that smart to me, but again, who am I? Okay? They say that proved prescient. Mr. Peterson flouted this court's order authorizing his deposition and refused to testify to anything. The court should order and issue to show cause why Mr. Peterson should not be held in contempt for 1, violating the court's directive permitting the deposition to proceed. 2, squandering the time of his own counsel and counsel for Miss Pete. 3, misusing the resources of California prison staff. And 4, otherwise abusing the judicial process. Once the court issues the order to show cause and affords Mr. Peterson an opportunity to respond, the court should then order him to 1, return to the deposition and conduct himself as if he were appearing in court, and 2, bear the cost of the initial and follow-up depositions, right? So they're saying, hey, this motherfucker still gonna have to come back and answer these goddamn questions. You ain't getting off so easily, sir. Okay? Finally, the court should warn him that if he fails to do so, he will be punished with further confinement when he completes his current sentence. So they are threatening an extension on his current jail time. Okay? Background. This case is about the extensive and persistent defamation by defendant Milagro Cooper of plaintiff Megan Pete. Ms. Cooper is a social media personality. Starting in 2020 and continuing to the present, defendant Cooper has used her social media accounts to spread defamatory statements, deepfake prawn videos, and outright lies about Ms. Pete at the behest and command of Mr. Peterson. As the court knows from its review of the legal sufficiency of the amended complaint, in 2022, Mr. Peterson shot and wounded Miss Pete. I thought that happened in 2020. I thought he was charged for it in 22. He was charged, tried, and convicted for this crime. He is now serving a 10-year sentence in California prison. Since the shooting and through the present, defendant Cooper has worked on a coordinated campaign with Mr. Peterson to defame and delegitimize Miss Pete. Ms. Cooper has acted at Mr. Peterson's direction, helping him circumvent multiple protective and gag orders that bar him from speaking publicly or posting about these matters. Ms. Pete filed this case to set the record straight on Ms. Cooper's lies and hold Ms. Cooper accountable for her misconduct. To demonstrate the level of malice underlying Ms. Cooper's conduct, including her coordination with Ms. Pete's assaulter, Ms. Pete noticed Mr. Peterson's deposition. Because of Mr. Peterson's imprisonment, the federal rules of civil procedure required an order from this court to depose him. Ms. Pete moved for such an order, which was unopposed by Mr. Peterson's lawyer, who also represents defendant Cooper in this action. The court granted the motion and entered an order permitting Mr. Peterson's deposition to proceed. That deposition proved to be a waste of time. Mr. Peterson refused to treat his deposition with any seriousness. In the 44 minutes on the record, Mr. Peterson feigned ignorance regarding the definition of basic words such as discuss and approve, harassed Miss Pete's counsel about her appearance, interrupted questioning to discuss his answers with his and Miss Cooper's counsel, and pretended that the video equipment was not working despite prison staff confirming it was functioning properly. As a result of Mr. Peterson's contemptuous behavior, Miss Pete's counsel suspended the deposition so that she could bring his misconduct to the court's attention for redress. Okay? So here they get into some of the misconduct displayed. Okay? So here they go. 1, Mr. Peterson feigned ignorance of the meaning of everyday words such as discuss, approve, and meet. When asked if Mr. Peterson had ever met with attorneys to prepare for the deposition, he pretended to not know what the word meat meant in context and offered a monologue about how meat had a variety of definitions, including a sexual context, which some might even consider harassment even in the deposition. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying some might consider it that way. Here we get into actual quotes. Miss Henderson, this is Mari Henderson, Megan's legal counsel. She says, okay, did you meet with Mr. Hayden, which is from Unite the People, or any other attorneys to prepare for your deposition today? Mr. Peterson, as in Tory, says, when you say meet, what do you mean? She says, what does the word meet mean to you? Tory answers, well, I would ask you for the Webster Dictionary version of meet. If you could explain that to me just for clarification. So he's playing completely dumb, doesn't know, as if the Webster definition would help him in any way. He says it could mean a lot of things. I mean, meat could be a hot dog. Meat could be a steak. Meat could be red meat, which is also steak. Or beef, I guess. It could be a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? You could watch porno. Meat. Meat is a whole different thing over there. Meat can be anything. I'm asking you, what is your definition of meat? And as you can see, it took her all around the world to not get to the actual definition in the context of the conversation. They say then Mr. Peterson denied knowing if he discussed, approved, or authorized the statement made by Unite the People in which Mr. McDowell stated that Mr. Peterson would not testify because Mr. Peterson claimed to not understand the definition of discuss or approve. Ms. Henderson says, did you discuss, approve, or authorize any statement made by Unite the People regarding your deposition today? Tory states, I would like the definitions of discuss, approve, and whatever you said. Can you give me those, please? She answers, okay. So you don't understand the word discuss? Tory says, no, but I would like the definitions. I want your definition because you are asking me the questions, so I would like your definitions, Ms. Henderson. Thank you. She says, okay, so did you speak with or talk to anyone at Unite the People about your deposition? He answers, no, I'm asking you for the definition of discuss. Can you give me that, please, from Webster? So although she repurposed how she asked the question, he wanted to stay there on discuss rather than go with the flow of the conversation. Ms. Henderson responds, Mr. Peterson, did you talk to anyone at Unite the People about a statement regarding your deposition? He says, you still have not given me the definitions of the words that you first asked, and I am asking for those so I can give you a clear and understandable answer. Okay? 2, Mr. Peterson harassed Ms. Pete's counsel regarding her appearance. Mr. Peterson targeted Ms. Pete's counsel with petty misogynistic jabs about her hair color and appearance, an act of pure harassment intended to belittle rather than respond to the questions. Here are the quotes. Ms. Henderson says, did you review any documents to prepare for your deposition today? Tory says, did you review the documents on the color of the dye you were going to use for your hair? Okay, once again, this is about her appearance rather than his appearance to answer questioning. She says, let me ask my question for the court reporter's sake. Before you answer, did you review any documents for your deposition today? This is Tory once again. He says, but you didn't answer my question, and I feel like it's starting to be like it's one-sided. Like you are not allowing me to understand what I need to understand so I can understand. This nigga said understand 3 times in one sentence. Ms. Henderson says, so Mr. Peterson, he cuts her off. He says, because your hair is distracting me. There's a reason for what I'm asking. Your hair is distracting me. Ain't that about it? She says, okay, I'm going to go off the record and stop this deposition at this point. Let's take a 5-minute break, a 10-minute break. He responds, enjoy yourself. The videographer says it's 10:56 a.m. Pacific time and we are off the record. Recess taken. Videographer comes back 5 minutes later. We're now on record. The time is 11:01 a.m. Tory comes in. He says, I just want to say on record that Miss Henderson's hair is distracting me. So as they took a 5-minute break, he comes back and reiterates an issue with her hair. Miss Henderson says, okay, so I'm going to put on the record that at this point, I am suspending the deposition because the witness is clearly evading my questions and is non-responsive, and we will be moving to compel this deposition with the court. So, Mr. Peterson, this is not over, and we will see you another day, which I'm sure. I know you said that you have all the time in the world, so we will see you again for volume 2 of this deposition. Thank you. He responds, change your hair next time. What a fucking clown. Videographer there says, if we are going to suspend here, I just need to get transcript and video orders. He then comes back, as in Tory. He says, just comb it at least. Will you comb it at least? Court reporter says, we'll just do it after. Ms. Murray Henderson says, yes, I will be ordering this transcript and this video. He continues to antagonize. He says, thank you so much. Just comb it. That's all I ask. The videographer and Ms. Henderson, would you like it to be synced as well? She says, yes. He says, a comb, honeycomb. Videographer says, and Mr. Hayden, copy for you. Mr. Hayden from Unite the People, the fucking non-profit organization representing this situation, does not even want a copy. Okay? Not even for his own records. Tory continues, a comb. Videographer asks if Mr. Pensier wants one. He says negative. Tory continues, a brush, Barbie brush. Videographer says, if there's nothing else, I can go ahead and read us off here. Ms. Henderson says, thank you. Tory says, a comb. The videographer goes, volume 1 of the deposition of Daystar Peterson in the matter of Megan Pete versus Milagro. He interrupts once more, as in Tory, to say, bring a comb. The videographer, Cooper. Now, off the record, the time is 11:06 a.m. Pacific time. He comes back and interjects once more, bring a comb. Ms. Henderson says, thank you. He says, bring a comb. Jesus Christ. 3. Mr. Peterson interrupted the deposition to discuss his answers with his counsel and objected despite his counsel instructing him to answer. Mr. Peterson repeatedly stalled the deposition by turning his responses into back and forth exchanges with his counsel, posing questions of his own, objecting himself, and using these tactics to avoid having to answer the questions. This is Mr. Hayden, clearly not a very intelligent person on his own right. He says, well, right now you are a witness being questioned, and it's my job to object if there's anything that is going to incriminate you, and that's what I'm going to do. So Ms. Henderson's entitled to ask whatever. Tory says, I understand that, Michael Hayden. I guess my question is like, does that prohibit me from being able to ask a question? Mr. Hayden says, we can take breaks and you can ask questions administratively, but in the line of questioning, we have to let opposing counsel. Tory says, oh, given that we let her ask all the questions she wants to ask, she can ask questions until her face turns blue. I'm just asking, am I allowed to ask her questions? Mr. Hayden says, you can't ask her questions. Tory says, does anything that she is saying prohibit me from asking a question? Mr. Hayden says, you can't. You can't respond to a question with a question. I can object and I can instruct you not to answer. But anything she asks, even if I object to it and don't instruct you not to answer, you have to answer. But later, Tory says, I understand. Ms. Henderson says, okay, Megan Pete, do you understand her to also be known as Megan the Stallion? Tory says, hey, Michael Hayden, if it's possible, could you Google how many Megan Petes there are in the world? So instead of answering the question, he says, how many Megan Petes are there in the world? All of them can't be Megan the Stallion. Mr. Hayden says, well, no. She's just asking for a nexus between the Megan Pete in this case, the plaintiff in this case, in this specific case, and going by the professional moniker of Megan the Stallion. It's not a trick or anything. Believe me, she's just trying to. Tory interrupts. I didn't think it was. I just was asking her to clarify her. Mr. Hayden says, I'm just trying to speed things up a bit. I mean, we can, give them. Tory says, no, we have all day. I got 10 years in here. And you might serve all 10 playing around. Mr. Hayden says, I got you. I'm on your side. I got you. Tory says, we got all day. Ms. Henderson says, did you testify at your criminal trial in December 2022? That's a yes or no. Tory says objection. Ms. Henderson says, okay, I don't see. Tory says, don't ask me anything about. Don't ask me anything about any criminal proceedings that have to do with my case on a criminal level. How about that? Ms. Henderson replies, I'm simply asking, did you testify? Tory then proceeds to object. She says, okay, just again for the record, you are not answering my questions. He says, objection. She says, okay, let me finish my question so I can have a clear record. So he says, I object. Fucking childish. Ms. Henderson says, we can then bring it to the court to decide. Tory says, I object, I object. She continues to at least attempt to be professional. Ms. Henderson says, did you testify at your criminal trial in December of... He says, I object. Court reporter says, okay, I can't. I can't get this when he keeps saying I object in between. Like there's no way I can possibly get this. Tory says she keeps asking stupid questions. Wow. He says, I am trying to help her. Tory's counsel, Mr. Hayden, jumps in, says, Mr. Peterson, I will object for you, but we have got to wait until she is done with the question, and then I can object like I did the first time. She's just rereading the same question. Tory says she should have waited for that hair dye. He keeps talking about her fucking hair. He says it is the wrong blonde, but anyway, go ahead. Number 4, Mr. Peterson pretended as if the technology was not working. Mr. Peterson feigned technical difficulties, claiming he could not see or hear despite confirmation from prison staff that the equipment was functioning properly and that he was, in fact, fully able to participate. Ms. Henderson says, and now I would like to move on by marking as next in order, which I believe is Exhibit 39. I'm going to ask the tech to pull up tab 2. She continues, and I'd like you to scroll down to the next page, okay? And if, for purposes of everyone, if you could zoom in, okay? Mr. Peterson, do you see that this is a statement titled Unite the People, Inc. CEO Caesar McDowell sets the record straight on deposition in response, Tory Lanez. Do you see that? Tory says, I'm sorry. The way that this screen is, like it's just so small, I can't see anything. Ms. Henderson says, Mr. Ginn, if you could zoom in. Tory says, I know you think that's solving the problem, but I swear on my side it's not. Can you just read me whatever document that you are talking about, please? Ms. Henderson says, okay, I will read you the document, but if you'd like to take a break so that you can change the settings of your Zoom, he interrupts. I can't change the settings. I'm in prison, and this is their equipment. I'm not going to get a write-up for touching their equipment. I am not allowed to. So he says he can't even touch the shit. Ms. Henderson says, I understand. My question is, do you see any document in front of the screen or do you see no document? Tory replies, I see a bunch of words, but I cannot make out what they are because they're too small, and I guess it's just the way this screen is set up. So I'm asking you if you can just read whatever it is that you are talking about. Ms. Henderson obliges. She says, okay, this is a statement titled Unite the People, Inc. CEO Caesar McDowell sets the record straight on deposition in reply, Tory Lanez. And this statement reads, in part, Tory Lanez is not a party to the Megan Thee Stallion's lawsuit against UTP client Milagro Cooper, and therefore UTP is not obligated to produce Tory Lanez for a deposition, nor did UTP agree or disagree to a deposition of Mr. Lanez or any other potential witness. Are showing you the statement. Are you aware that UTP released that statement? Tory replies, you are not showing me anything because I can't see what you're talking about. However, I mean, you are saying am I aware? Again, I'm not aware of anything and I can't see what you're talking about. Okay. He's acting like he's legally blind. Okay. She says, okay, if you can't see what I'm talking about, then why don't we take a break, go off the record, and we will contact the prison to change the settings so you can see these exhibits. He says, okay. Videographer says we're now off the record. The time is 10:26 a.m. Pacific time. Recess taken. Videographer says we are now on the record. Time is 10:32 a.m. Pacific time. Ms. Henderson comes back, says, okay. So over the break, we had Counselor Hernandez, who works at the prison, come in and check the settings on the computer, and we pulled up the same document, Exhibit 39, and asked if he could read it. He confirmed it was legible and that he could see the document, and he read the first lines of the document. So I'm going to pull up Exhibit 39 back on the screen, and if you could zoom in on the second page, Mr. Ginn. Mr. Peterson, the very last paragraph of this statement says, lastly, if you know Tory Lanez how I do, good luck trying to get him to, quote, testify to anything. It's just not what he does. And he definitely did not, quote, agree to testify now. Tory says, I don't know that says that. Still, you pulled up the same thing at the same size, and I still can't read it. For a person that can't see, he can recognize that it's the same. You ask somebody else for their opinion on whether they can read it. That person has glasses on their face. This is ridiculous. And that person is standing right next to the screen. You ask them not only to read something here, you ask them to read the most boldest part of this and not anything else. So again, you lose. I'm sorry, not you lose. Ms. Henderson says, Mr. Peterson, did you testify at your criminal trial in December 2022? Okay. Can you hear my question, Mr. Peterson? So he is not responding to the question for the record. He did confirm earlier he could hear me, and now he is not responding. So, Mr. Peterson, I will ask once more for the record, did you testify at your criminal trial? He replies, hey guys, the audio keeps clipping in and out, so sometimes I can't hear what she's saying. It just clipped out. I didn't hear anything she said in the last 5 seconds. She comes back, says, okay, let's go off the record and get Mr. Hernandez back in. Okay, completely wasting the court's time, acting as if he can't see, hear, or understand anything she's saying. 5, the meet and confer process. In meeting and conferring with opposing counsel regarding the relief sought, Mr. Pantier said, we have no control over Mr. Peterson or his conduct, and frankly, his conduct wasted our time as well. And Mr. Pantier is co-counsel for Milagro, okay? Thus, I do not know why you need me, to meet and confer with us, as this is between you guys and Mr. Peterson. We have not been retained to represent him in this matter, and thus you guys are free to seek court intervention against him. Any action you wish to take against him individually, we will not oppose, okay? So Mr. Pantier says, fuck this nigga, okay? I ain't got nothing to do with him. I am not being paid to represent him. So if y'all want to take him to hell, do what you will if the court will allow it. Okay? And they have an exhibit showing that actual email in its entirety rather than just that clip. Okay? So here they get into why he should be held in contempt. Courts have long recognized that pretrial depositions are an important part of the discovery process. Because depositions typically occur extrajudicially, the participants in a deposition are entrusted with the responsibility of conducting depos efficiently, orderly, and courteously. For the process to succeed, it is essential that the parties, attorneys, and witnesses participating in depositions conduct themselves with civility and decency. When a deponent misbehaves in a deposition, the court has inherent authority to impose sanctions to serve as both a specific and general deterrent of the conduct described above. This court granted Ms. Pete leave to depose Mr. Peterson's during his incarceration. In so ordering, the court expected Mr. Peterson, who appeared with counsel, to participate in a manner that was efficient, orderly, and respectful. Instead, Mr. Peterson disregarded the court's order, treating the proceeding with contempt and squandering the time and resources of the party, their counsel, and the California prison system staff, who had to make arrangements for his deposition. This warrants a finding of contempt or at least sanctions. Okay? And this here says affirming an award of sanctions over party who objected to and during his deposition after a federal magistrate judge authorized deposition. The court has the inherent authority to hold Mr. Peterson responsible for his disobedience of its order. Okay? Embedded in the Anglo-American laws, the inherent power of the judiciary to coerce obedience to its orders by summarily holding a recalcitrant person in civil contempt. Okay? So then they go into some history here. You know, they be doing references. The transcript of Mr. Peterson's suspended deposition provides clear and convincing evidence that he violated the order permitting his deposition. Mr. Peterson made a mockery of the proceedings. Only conduct that evinces substantial compliance and good faith may excuse a finding of civil contempt. Here, there is no doubt that Mr. Peterson failed to comply with the court's order, and his actions do not evince a good faith intent to comply. Instead, they establish the opposite, that Mr. Peterson intended to and actually did disobey this court's order permitting his deposition. Remarkably, even before the deposition took place, Mr. Peterson's counsel firm publicly broadcast his intent to defy this court's order, which, again, I don't see how that was smart on Unite the People's part, especially when you're out here claiming you're freedom fighters, but you're also assisting in defiance of court or contempt, to be litigiously correct. In a statement issued on behalf of Mr. Peterson, the firm effectively previewed that he had no intention of complying with the court's authorization of his deposition, signaling not just individual contempt, but a coordinated effort to undermine the judicial process. Mr. Peterson followed through by harassing Ms. Pete's counsel, delaying the deposition by feigning ignorance of common words, making gratuitous sexual comments about pornos, and pretending as if the technology being used was not working. Nothing short of a contempt finding and meaningful sanctions will deter Mr. Peterson from continuing to abuse the process. His own team declared good luck trying to get Mr. Peterson to testify to anything. At his deposition, he followed through on that defiance. Conclusion. Wherefore, Ms. Pete respectfully requests, and opposing counsel does not oppose, that the court issue an order to show cause why Mr. Peterson should not be held in contempt. In the alternative, the court should enter a finding of sanctions against Mr. Peterson requiring his payment of counsel's time in taking volume 1 of his deposition, appoint a special master to oversee a volume 2 of Mr. Peterson's deposition at Mr. Peterson's expense, and authorize as much additional time as necessary to take an effective deposition of Mr. Peterson. And he gonna have to pay for it. Okay. Rule 7.1 A2 certificate. Undersigned counsel certifies that he engaged in a good faith effort to resolve the issues addressed in this motion by contacting both Ms. Cooper's counsel and counsel for Mr. Peterson, who represented him at the subject deposition, by emailing Mr. Pansier and Mr. Hayden to meet and confer regarding remedying the contemptuous behavior. Mr. Pansier responded on behalf of himself and Mr. Hayden, stating that they would not oppose any action Ms. Pete's counsel wished to take against Mr. Peterson. Milagro and Tory, y'all got the most incompetent motherfuckers in law representing y'all, and y'all will pay for it, in my opinion. I can't say what's going to happen, but it don't look good for neither one of you clowns. Go ahead and get your makeup and your motherfucking red noses ready, okay? You ain't going to have to worry about nobody hair dye. You have to worry about getting your motherfucking hair wig for the clown suit. Now here we have the actual email in full rather than just a piece of it. This is Michael Pansier from Pansier Law. He's writing Dan Humphrey, Michael Hayden, Mary Henderson, and all of the others involved on this case. He writes, Dan, let me make this crystal clear. Contrary to your assertion in your email, we have nothing to do with Mr. Daystar Peterson, and he is not our client. And he's certainly not my client. Fuck that nigga. While Mr. Hayden represents him in a state court criminal appeal and a habeas case in California and was there to protect his constitutional rights against self-incrimination, neither I nor Mr. Hayden represent him in any civil matter or in any other capacity. Tell Mr. Hayden, because he out here putting public statements out saying he wasn't going to cooperate ahead of time. He says we have no control over him or his conduct, and frankly, his conduct wasted our time as well. Thus, I do not know why you need to meet and confer with us. Again, that's the quote that we saw earlier. No need to reiterate. Okay? They say do what you got to do. Now here is the official statement via Instagram from Caesar McDowell, who is the CEO of Unite the People. So he is the boss of Michael Hayden, who works at Unite the People, right? This is the statement. They say, Lately, I haven't been responding to all the rhetoric in the media, but after reading the misinformation attempted to be spread by the media, puppet or puppets, I can no longer bite my tongue. Megan Thee Stallion's lawyers continue to try and give the appearance their case against Milagro Cooper is successfully progressing by giving their supposed mouthpiece Megan Cuniff and all other persons, media or non-media, wrong information. So rather than just continue to represent their clients in the best way possible, they are now trying to vilify Megan, her legal team, and Megan Cuniff all in one fell swoop. Okay? Now, Miss Megan Cuniff may be disagreeable at times, but as it pertains to this case, I don't see where she's veered from professionality, but we shall continue. He says perhaps Megan Cuniff really does not know what she is talking about, just as she misunderstood perhaps intentionally or tried to spin the fact UTP forced Megan's lawyers to change their allegations against Miss Cooper twice, resulting in them amending their complaint multiple times. That is actually misinformation. The judge only asked her to change the allegations for simple, like, it's like semantics issues. The charges are still the same, or the actions are, and all that stuff are still the same. So he's attempting to, mislead anybody who's willing to follow their page on social media, which ain't that many people to begin with. But, we'll continue. Resulting in them amending their complaint multiple times. She now misunderstands again, perhaps intentionally, the meaning of a potential deposition of Tory Lanez. She continues to speak and removes all doubt she is ignorant. So now he's taking personal attacks on Megan Cuniff, the reporter. Tory Lanez is not a party to Megan Thee Stallion's lawsuit against UTP client Milagro Cooper, and therefore UTP is not obligated to produce Tory Lanez for a deposition, nor did UTP agree or disagree to a deposition of Mr. Lanez or any other potential witness. Now, what I don't understand here is if it was an issue, why did the judge allow it? Why did Michael Hayden and Mr. Pansier oblige to this deposition if it was such an issue? Michael Hayden works for you. But now you're trying to come out and grandstand to the people with this weak-ass press release. Now, hey, do what you do. I just don't think it fares well for you, and it also kills your credibility as someone who is trying to fight for people and try to find justice for your clients when you're literally standing in the way of any form of justice because you're actually aiding and abetting them in poor behavior by producing poor behavior of your own. Stupid motherfucker. But that's just my opinion. They say, agree to agree, definitely, blah, 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 blah. By law, Megan's lawyers can depose any person they believe possesses useful information in their case. To imply UTP is going along with Megan's wishes or somehow is being manipulated into going along is simply wrong as everything else Mrs. Cuniff and others have said. Despite her efforts to show she is the most useful of ignorant tools to Megan's counsel, wow, she is repeatedly wrong about what is really happening in this case. Lastly, if you know Tory Lanez how I do, good luck trying to get him to testify to anything. It's just not what he does, and he definitely did not agree to testify now. Now, I gotta say, I hate to say it, but this shit is in small ass font. I got to agree, this shit is small as fuck. Cause I zoomed in on it bit and it's still small. But goddamn. So not only did he make that statement to the press, but he also doubled down by tagging Megan Cuniff and sending her a personal message in the comments. He says, I'm going to say it to you so you can't ever say no one made you aware. You are being a culture vulture. You are trying to gain relevancy in a business that you are not relevant in. The only people who know you are these people who are involved in this case, friends, family, but you are playing with these young black people's lives, and there's nothing cool about that. So he then attempts to bring in the racial issue rather than the deficiencies of his nonprofit organization. You have clearly taken sides and probably more, implying money, but we'll leave that between you and I for now. You know what I'm talking about. But the way you are playing with these young black people's lives isn't funny to me. Everything you're trying to do, you think is cute. But this is a young black man, two young black women. These are black children, black families, black mothers, black fathers, black brothers, and you're playing with their lives just so you can get some likes, so you can get some views, so you can try to be relevant. That is the definition of culture vulture, if not slave master. You are trying to get rich by defaming and degrading these black people, and it's time someone told you you are out of line. Don't nobody give a damn about your opinions. Nigga, what? No! I don't even fuck with Tory, but this is just terrible. Let me reiterate that last statement he said. Don't nobody give a damn about your opinions. Don't nobody give a damn about how you feel. You're supposed to be a reporter. If you're a reporter, then report on the facts. You do that, won't nobody have a problem with it. The problem is, you think this is a game. And there's a lot of people involved, and there's a lot of black families who are affected by this. A lot of people in pain. Friends, families, fans alike. And that's on all sides. I'm not just speaking for one side. I'm speaking for all these black people. Of the misfortune of these black people, it's starting to remind us of slavery. We're starting to feel like you really think you are untouchable in this and you can just play with these black people and it's all cool. So you can get some likes or get some views. We're not going to keep standing for that. You need to stay in your lane. Stay in your place. Be a reporter. Report. That's great. Stop acting like the slave master. Boy, you about ignorant as a motherfucker, boy. You talking about slave, boy. How did they let you become the CEO of this company? You can't even fucking legibly write 2 paragraphs. What the fuck? Well, a 5th grader could have wrote this shit more intelligibly. Your punctuation is all fucked up. Everything fucked up. But you want to make it a racial issue. Megan Cuniff then proceeds to respond and says, 2 N's in Megan, please. She proceeds to act unbothered, which is, one of her things she does. Which, I don't think she should be subjected to harassment for simply reporting. I understand that if you don't like her, that's cool. But I don't see how this makes your client look any better, any more reliable, any more innocent. This looks like shady business here. So now, all of that's been submitted to the courts, and we now have Miss Milagro Cooper herself. These people have very interesting ways of looking at life and ways of carrying themselves in life. So she proceeds to get on station head, and I believe she is speaking directly towards the proceedings of this case, depositions, etc., to her fans, not recognizing that every statement that she's made has probably been submitted to the courts. But she still gets online to grandstand for these people. And for all you Milagro fans out there, I don't give a fuck how you feel about my perspective of the situation. You have your opinion, I have mine. The shit may not change. I guess we had a motherfucking stalemate. If you clicked on this video and you saw my name, if you ain't like me last time you watched the video, why the fuck would you come back and watch the video again? Now let's get into this bullshit she talking about.
So foolish, foolish. So they said Miss Pete filed this case to set the record straight on Miss Cooper's lies and to hold Miss Cooper accountable for her misconduct. Really? Miss Pete didn't want to
Yes,
do
really.
that for Joe Budden or academics or anybody else. They said to demonstrate the level.
I don't know why she's been running with this narrative for months that the DJ that don't spin and Joe Budden are on the same level as her in terms of the offensive nature of things that they've said on their platforms. DJ that don't spin and Joe Budden may not like Megan Thee Stallion. They may not support Megan Thee Stallion in her, you know, the trial that took place against Tory Lanez. They may not be all that happy about this situation, including you, although Joe Budden said, get her ass regarding you. But what we have not seen from the DJ that don't spin or Joe Budden is a continued onslaught of Megan Thee Stallion's character. We haven't seen them make sideways comments about her mother or her family or try to dig into her family history saying that she's genetically predisposed to alcoholism. Neither the DJ that don't spin nor Joe Budden have participated in the promotion of a deep fake pornography video willingly or in any way. That's what you did. You told people to go check your likes, and that was what was waiting for them. They've already established that as promotion for the sake of the case. Now, it has to be evaluated once it goes to trial. We'll see if they work in your favor. I assume not, but we will see. But the reason why you're sitting in the position that you are is not because you're a smaller creator. It's not because you have less financial resources. It's because you did the most. And you overstepped the line of your platform of simply reporting the news and just giving your opinion. You made it a personal attack. And they went into the records and they see that Tory Lanez and his family have been paying you while proceeding with this ongoing attack against her character. Therefore, it seems that they are actually commissioning you to take these actions. It's on you to prove that that is false, but you can't fault her for saying that with all of the things that they've presented. I've been following this shit the whole time. We got clipping for clipping, video, station head, all about Megan Thee Stallion, disparaging her in every possible way you can. It's one thing to say, I don't like her, I don't agree with this, I think this is messed up. But to make threats, to try to speak on people's family in a disparaging way of people that don't know you, you don't know them, you're taking it way too far, especially when her parents are deceased and you're still disparaging these people. You earned this. So if you're mad about it, fight it in court. But these niggas that's listening to you, they can't help you. It don't matter how much money they raise for your ass to keep your legal counsel. You're still going to have to deal with the judge and I believe a jury.
Of malice underlying Miss Cooper's conduct, including her coordination with with Miss Pete's accuser or assaulter. Miss Pete noticed Mr. Peterson's deposition. Because of Mr. Peterson's imprisonment, they said that the civil procedure required an order from the court to depose him. They said Ms. Pete moved for such an order, which was unopposed by Mr. Peterson's lawyer, who also represents Ms. Cooper in this action. They said the court granted the motion and entered an order permitting Mr. Peterson's.
So you finna just read what I already read? Is that what we getting here? Well, we're not finna sit through that. Shout out to Opinionated Truths, by the way, but we're not finna sit through that if she just gonna read what I just read.
Deposition to proceed and interrupted questioning to discuss the deposition. Was it like that? Somebody said all of this is out of spite. This statement right here absolutely makes me feel that way. This absolutely makes me feel like I'm
Spite.
justified and feeling like this is a targeted attack. Miss Pete filed this case to set the record straight on Miss Cooper's lies. Let me tell you how that makes me feel.
Feelings.
Too many people give a fuck about what I have to say. And I don't want them to think that. So let me file a lawsuit against her. Pretty much.
Not dropping
That's a
bombs.
personal attack. And I
It's a
also
civil attack,
firmly
actually.
believe that there are some people who have some feelings about my proximity to Daystar. I do think that there are people jealous about my relationship
Jealous.
of sort, well, however you want to name a relationship can be a friendship, a business relationship, whatever. Don't make it romantic. I think that there are a lot of people who are very they feel a way about the fact. I think people feel a way about the fact that Tori Daddy loves me. I think people feel a way about the fact that, other people care for me. I do.
More bombs.
Yeah, I do. But we will digress at this time. Now, let's get into what the hell didn't happen. Mr. Peterson's deposition misconduct, okay? Number one,
Okay, she's still reading. There's more though. Let me see what we can find.
including a sexual context. Miss Henderson,
Okay. You gonna keep reading this shit?
who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Because why would she order the video? If she had no intention of doing anything with the video, why would she order the video? So even if she simply wanted to submit it as video proof, doesn't that now become part of public record? I don't know. I don't know how that shit works, so I can't assert that as a fact. But I'm just saying, to me, it seems like that could be a possibility the same way that Megan Cuniff got this paperwork. I would not be surprised if somebody popped up with a video. Okay. They said and to try to make him look crazy. But let me tell you the thing about social media.
I'm guessing she's trying to say that Megan wants the video of Tory Lanez deposition for however he may look to be some sort of way like covertly released to the public to make him look foolish so that people could see how he's looking during his incarceration. This is something that she's been on for a minute. She's actually been angry that Tory's mugshot was released to the press, as if people who are famous and non-famous mugshots don't get released to the press. But she feels a way about that as well. She's been feeling that way all this time. It seems that she's still on that crusade.
First of all, social media doesn't care about this situation. That's number one.
Doesn't
You know
care.
it, and I know it. Number two, they're already laughing at this. Social media don't take shit seriously. Social media has trivialized the word pedophile. You understand? So if anyone thinks that they're gonna put out a video of they start saying these things and people gonna say, why would he do that? You've lost your mind. They're gonna laugh at it, they're gonna make gifs of it, and it's gonna become a part of the culture and just another part of this bullshit.
Okay, so she feels like Megan wants to release the deposition of him acting a plumb damn fool in the deposition, possibly to further incriminate him, make him look bad. She says once social media gets a hold of it, they ain't gonna do nothing but laugh because social media don't do nothing but laugh at shit anyway. Okay? Depends on what side of the spectrum you sit on, whether you're pro Megan or pro Milagro Tory. Because one side of it will say, look at this jackass. He's an idiot. If this is the man that's trying to appeal to the courts to be released from jail, look at his behavior. He's not even being cooperative in a simple deposition just to speak on the nature of his relationship with somebody who he's clearly connected to, right? On the other side of the spectrum, if you are pro Milagro or pro Tory, it would show a level of immaturity to just laugh at it as if it doesn't matter when we're talking about legal matters. We're talking about somebody that's allegedly fighting for their freedom outside of the scope of this civil case. But what is this doing to help your reputation, to help your believability, to help your innocence? How does this help Milagro, who you claim to love, or she claims that you love her, that your father claims to love? Why are they not doing everything in their power to help you, right? To answer and say, hey, whatever they're accusing me of, I have no knowledge of these payments. I have no knowledge of these things that she's putting out on social media because I am incarcerated. I'm not privy to what's going on social media. I did not know that she said these things. I did not know that she did these things. I did not know that she promoted this video, right? That would absolve you of your involvement, and that would say, hey, I wasn't aware that she did these things, which to the untrained eye, if they don't know that you on social media, they could say, hey, he ain't been on social media. That sounds like the truth. And that would also absolve this person that you're trying to hide your friendship with. You know what I'm saying? Both of y'all could kind of mosey your way on, but I guess that sounds a little bit too much like right. You would rather play yourself as an idiot, right? Because street cred says you can't cooperate in no type of way, right? And if you're laughing at these sorts of things, hey man, that's on you.
And it'll be something to laugh at. No one fucking cares. I promise you they don't. Literally everybody that saw this laughed at it. Nobody felt like there was some great injustice that was done. The comments that I saw said, why don't y'all just leave that man the fuck alone? The people were actually fed up, you know? And I'm laughing as I read it because this whole situation is ludicrous. The accusation is ludicrous. The whole thing is ludicrous. And like I said before, if the evidence was so strong, I don't think that they would need a volume 2 for Daystar. They wouldn't even need to speak to Daystar or Sunstar. And I can understand wanting to talk to Sunstar because of the accusation. But if the evidence was as strong as everybody act like it is on the internet, I don't think that Daystar would need to come back and sit down, if at all.
Well, that's why people aren't coming to you for your legal opinion, because depositions are quite standard. But, you know, this is her opinion. She doesn't see why it's relevant. Just a couple months ago, she was saying she don't give a damn about this shit no more. Do what y'all gonna do. I low-key wish they could expedite this process so that they could figure out what the hell they gonna do, whether they gonna charge her ass out the bank or if they gonna let her roam freely. I would love if this thing could get wrapped up in a couple business days. But unfortunately, that's just not the nature of the legal process. And she's still dropping bombs.
Right. Everyone is literally over this whole situation. The man is facing 10 years. He's serving his time, fighting for his freedom, and everybody's moving on. So, right, they shouldn't have to talk to him at all. And I really need y'all to get into that.
That's a falsehood. They're trying to talk to him to understand the nature of y'all's relationship. They literally have allegations that he's been paying you to harass Megan online. So why would they not need to speak to him for verification of cash transactions, underhanded conversations, perhaps some sort of messaging telling you to act a certain way online? That's what depots are for. So to say, oh, there's no reason. If the evidence was strong enough, you wouldn't even have to. Well, what do you think? They got evidence of this nigga literally like sliding in your DM? I'm quite sure that hasn't happened since you speak through his father. What are we supposed to have? And I don't mean we as in like, oh, I'm part of Rock Nation, I'm part of Megan's legal team. I just mean we as the viewing public. Since you say we don't care, I'm not gonna listen to nothing else she says, and that may offend some people too. Oh, well, if you're unbiased, why don't you listen to the rest of her talking? Because this shit is nonsense, homie. There's people literally probably in the chat right now saying, "Cut that shit off, Nolan." Damn, I can't stand to hear her talk. I'm gonna do y'all a favor. I can't wait till this bullshit get wrapped up. I ain't gonna lie, but I'm gonna keep reporting on it as it continues to proceed. There's not too many people out there that will, so I will be that person. But at this point, y'all can let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. All right, y'all. Be good out there. More content on the way.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the gouda, we hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer, we come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest, but drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I've been dropping these haters like calories. First I'm out, I came back with some boundaries, stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.